All right, today we are going to do our final 2023 rookie mock draft before the NFL draft. We're recording this on Monday, and the NFL draft is Thursday. This will come out tomorrow on Tuesday. So we will obviously update this post-draft. Everything is going to change during the draft. Draft capital's king. We've said it all along, but today we're going to do a 2023 rookie mock draft. No landing spots. I'm done replying to people about landing spots, and we're just going to pick players based on our own personal convictions and how we think they're going to go in the draft. So again, these are just predictions. We are just spitballing here, and we're just taking guys that we like based on, a couple months of watching film, a couple months of hearing the news and the rumors about them and their potential draft stock after seeing their testing results. That's what we're going to do today. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got content like this, Dynasty content, coming out all the time. Right now is Dynasty season. If you are a Dynasty player, this is the best week of the year for you. This is when we get these younger players in on our teams. It's a super exciting time. So make sure you subscribe because we're going to have a ton of coverage, including on draft night, where we'll be pumping out some videos. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be live streaming on Friday night, so make sure you join us for that as well. Make sure you check out our locals page in the description. All right. I will take the 101.
Oh, man.
I will take Bijan Robinson.
Smart.
Look, I don't have a reason to take a quarterback over him. I don't have a reason to take Anthony Richardson over him right here because we don't have draft capital. We don't have landing spots.
It's preference.
Bijan is heralded as the best rookie in this draft for Dynasty leagues, and he has the highest market value in Dynasty. So I'll take Bijan Robinson. I think he's an elite player. I think I do not think he will be a bust. I think he's very, very good at almost everything, and he's one of the best running back prospects in the last 10 years. And because of that, I think he's going to get very good draft capital, especially for a running back in this day and age. I think he's going to go to a team that's going to have a lot of rushing opportunity for him, and I think he's going to do well both in the rushing game and the receiving game. He's going to be a superstar in Dynasty. Do I think he's going to maintain first-round startup capital his whole career? Probably not, definitely not. But right now, I'm willing to bet on him as the first overall pick in the 2023 Superflex Dynasty Rookie Draft. So 102, go.
Yeah, I'll take Anthony Richardson. I'll aim for the moon right here. I think worst case scenario, if I'm in a super flex league, I'm taking the guy with the highest rushing upside. He's got a cannon for an arm. Yes, he might sit for a year. You could have a new Trey Lance on your hands, but you could also have the next Jalen Hurts on your hands. You never know. And worst case scenario, you draft Anthony Richardson, you aim high, and you miss. You have your 24 first next year. It's not the worst thing in the world. You're already at the bottom of your league if you have the 102. So take the guy with the highest upside.
Absolutely. Nathan, 103.
All right, I'll go Stroud here at the 103. Like we've talked about before, he probably / definitely has more rushing upside than Bryce Young because of his size alone.
Yep.
And again, this is landing spots free. This is mock draft free. So just in a vacuum, in fantasy, I'll take Stroud over Bryce Young because, theoretically, I think their passing upside or their passing volume is probably going to be about the same.
Yeah. Absolutely. With that, I'll take Bryce Young. Honestly, it's really close here between Bryce Young and JSN for me, but Bryce Young probably going to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. And although this is not considering draft capital, we're pretty sure he's going to go 1 overall. And because of that, he's going to be locked in a situation, he's going to have Frank Reich theoretically, and he's going to be on a team with little weapons, but from a super flex perspective, from a quarterback perspective, he's a very safe option. I think most consider him the best quarterback in this draft. So getting him here at the 104 in a Superflex league, in a market where quarterbacks are a little bit more scarce right now, I'm pretty happy with that. I think Bryce Young is a good prospect. I think he's got questions about his size. That's pretty much it, though. And honestly, we've seen players like him overcome those questions. I think Bryce Young is absolutely good enough to do that. I have no reservations taking Bryce Young as early as the 102. And honestly, although I'm going to prefer the rushing upside guy, if somebody's taking Bryce Young at the 102, I'm absolutely not arguing with that. He's a great prospect. I think he's going to be a very, very good NFL QB. And in a Superflex league, that makes you really valuable. 105.
Yeah, I couldn't be more psyched to get JSN at the 105. He's an elite wide receiver prospect. I don't care what you say. Elite production in college with some of the best competition you could imagine. Obviously being Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson last year. Yes, he had an elite quarterback throwing to him in college, CJ Stroud. But to put up the numbers he did as a sophomore in the Big Ten is nothing short of incredible. He has incredible short area agility, and while he is a slot wide receiver, and people complain about that, slot wide receivers perform in fantasy. He seems
Amon-Ra.
Yeah, exactly. Looks to me like he's a fantasy machine in the making.
Yeah, absolutely.
We play in a super flex league. This guy has rushing upside. I'll take William Levis. I know the Dynasty community is very low on him. I know some people in this room are very low on him. And I don't really care because of his rushing ability. He has a cannon for an arm, which I know
he's the next Josh Allen.
That doesn't mean he's the next Josh Allen. That doesn't mean having a cannon for an arm does not mean you're an accurate quarterback and a good thrower of the football. I think he has a lot to work on, a lot to do. When NFL scouts are looking at him, I would assume they're probably going to focus mainly on his junior tape, not his senior tape. Because he struggled this past season for, I think, multiple reasons, and Kentucky was not a very good football team outside of him. But I'm willing to gamble on him here in a super flex league because of that rushing upside specifically.
All right, I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs here at the 107. I'm really, really thrilled getting Jahmyr Gibbs in the back half of the first round in 23 rookie drafts. I think he is somebody that's not going to get out of the first round. I think on Thursday, you're going to see his name called in the first round. He's going to go to a team that's going to offer a lot of receiving opportunity for him. And obviously, that's what he's best at. His route tree is very good. What he really doesn't excel at is being a power back, really between the tackles, short yard situations. Not going to be that type of guy. However, very good in space. He's got great twitch. His receiving upside and his route tree, like I said, are the best in this class. I mean, his route tree is better than even Bijan, and Bijan's really good at everything. So because of that, in today's style NFL offense, there's going to be a team that really, really values him, that really, really uses him to maximize his potential. And from that, you will see that because he is a PPR back, because he is out there on third downs, he's catching passes, he's catching screens, he's catching checkdowns, he's going to rack up fantasy points quick. Between that and the potential draft capital that he could get, his value is going to be insulated. He's going to score a lot of points for your team, and that makes him a really good get here. I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs at the 107. You got the 108.
Yeah, the 108 is where things start to get a little bit harder for me. But I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston. At the beginning of this process, he was my wide receiver too, and I think that's where we're going to land here. Again, I'm taking the second wide receiver, and it's Quentin Johnston. He doesn't have breakaway speed. He's not the fastest guy you'll ever see. He ran a 4.52 at his pro day, which is not too shabby by any means for his size. He's 6'3" and 208, and that's really the selling point for me here. There's not many guys in this wide receiver class who have that prototypical alpha wide receiver size, and that is something NFL teams are still going to look for. I think he has really, really exceptional yards after the catch ability, so yak ability, especially for his size. He has things he needs to work on, but what wide receiver doesn't coming into the NFL? And we assume all the other guys can improve, so why can't he? And he has all the tools to be a very good fantasy asset.
Yeah, 100% agree. And honestly, he's a guy that's for his size, and he wasn't as big as we thought he was when he measured into combine, but he's super quick. I mean, you really, for a guy at that size to be that quick and to test out that well in the agility skill, I mean, that's legit. So Quentin Johnston, obviously JSN is the clear favorite for us in this class from a wide receiver perspective, but Quentin Johnston is absolutely somebody that could be an elite NFL wide receiver, given his build, given his skill set.
Yep.
I could absolutely see it. All right, you got the 109.
Yeah, and we said this last week when we did our rankings, our final top 24 rankings, that these three receivers that we're about to talk about here, I mean, they could be flip-flopped in any way. QJ could be the last of the three. He could be the first. And with this next guy, I'm going to take Jordan Addison. I'm going to look past all of the recent hype and all of the recent downplaying of Addison's ability. I think Addison is the better wide receiver. Just straight up, I think he's a better receiver than Zay Flowers, and I don't think there's really a question with that. Yes, his production went down a little bit at USC this year, but again, a completely different offense. He transferred after, playing with Kenny Pickett for a few years. I have really, outside of, the size, which everyone talks about, but again, that's not really a skill set. I don't really have much concerns with Addison. I find him, again, to be a very safe asset in the NFL, so I'll gamble on him here at the 109.
Yeah, don't let the speed be a concern with Jordan Addison. Addison has plenty of game speed. He's a very, very good route runner. He's going to find ways.
We
to
fell into that a little bit too. Yeah, I remember at the beginning after
we
the combine.
Sometimes fall for stuff like that.
Yeah,
we just get back.
But then
we'll get back on track.
Keep your head above the waist.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, Zay Flowers at the 110, and with Zay. The big question with Zay Flowers, obviously, this whole process has been his college production. And look, when you're playing at Boston College with Joe Blow throwing you the ball, I mean, who even was their quarterback? Could you even tell me? No, you couldn't, because it's Boston College and and they just generally haven't been super good. And so Zay Flowers, obviously, an indicator that he's going to go high in the draft. He actually has a green room invite, and Quentin Johnston doesn't, which, I mean, that obviously doesn't mean anything like concrete. However, it does mean that NFL teams are thinking he's going to go pretty safely in the first round. So when you think about that, when you think about the fact that he's impressed throughout this whole process, his combine was great. He's looked the part in terms of being a very good wide receiver prospect. Once he does get that capital, like I predict he will on Thursday, I think you're getting him at the 110. Obviously, your other options here are going to be some running backs. Maybe you'll get in some tight end territory here. And for me, again, rookie wide receivers, they maintain their value at an elite rate. They are even if they bust. I mean, Jerry Jeudy he did that 2 years in a row, almost 3, and he's still, I mean, as valuable as more valuable than some of where these rookie wide receivers are going. So with Zay Flowers, I think he can come out, and if he does take a year to develop, I mean, as the case with any of these guys, he's going to be somebody who value-wise is going to be very insulated. He's going to offer, I mean, I think his upside is probably high-end wide receiver 2 in the NFL. That's his ceiling, I think. I would expect him to be more of a career wide receiver 2, I think. I don't think he has wide receiver 1 upside, but that's just me spitballing. Could he be a wide receiver 1? Absolutely. I'm sure he could, but I see him as more of a wide receiver 2. And when you're getting a Terry McLaurin at the 110 in your rookie drafts, that's a good pick. So I'll take Zay Flowers at the 110, and I'm fairly confident he's going to get first-round draft capital on Thursday night. All right, you got the 111.
Yeah, with the 111, I'll go with Zach Charbonnet. I know, Avery, you will love that pick.
Yeah,
outside of Bijan Robinson, he's really the running back in this class who has that size that an NFL team might look for. He has the capability to uphold a bell cow workhorse load. And with a 4.53 40, he's not too slow either. He's not going to be a blazer. He will not be an elite running back in the NFL. I don't see that happening, but he's someone who will probably get pretty decent draft capital. And especially right now with the landscape of running backs in Dynasty, Zach Charbonnet is someone I'm absolutely willing to take a shot on, especially, if I have a 111, I was probably a contender last year. I'll take a running back who can really shoot up in value.
He's going to be an instant impact player for Dynasty teams, I think. If he goes to a team like the Cowboys, he would fit very well on the Cowboys. He'd fit very well complementing Tony Pollard because he would fit their scheme very well. He'd be that between the tackles. He's a bigger guy, and he doesn't really have any super elite traits. He's just solid at everything.
Yeah, but look what happened with Dameon Pierce last year. He got a role on a team, and everyone freaked out. All of a sudden, he was going for 2 firsts just because he was a young running back who had a role, and who got plenty of snaps.
1 first, not 2.
Oh, he was going for 2 firsts in the middle of last season.
When?
Seriously?
Did you see it happen?
Yeah, everyone had him as a top 10 Dynasty.
I do remember that.
He did get into the top 12.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Is
Charbonnet is better.
Yeah, and if Charbonnet gets a role like that, people are going to immediately say, this guy's only 22. We should be paying a lot, big price tag for him. And so I think all 3 of us could see something like that.
We all like Charbs. You're up, buddy.
I'm going to go. I'm going to get over my personal opinion here on the player, and I'm going to go with Josh Downs here. I think I trust him more as an NFL receiver in the slot than I do Marvin Mims. And yes, this is not dependent on landing spot or mock drafts, but I will say, touching on the mock drafts a little bit, Marvin Mims has been consistently mocked to teams that would not be very fantasy friendly at all because of his skill set and because of what the NFL teams would really want to draw from his skill set, which is big playability, a field stretcher, and that doesn't really bode well for us as fantasy players or owning him in Dynasty. So with Josh Downs, he is very versatile. I think Marvin Mims can be just as versatile. That's my own personal opinion. But again, with Josh Downs, I think I do trust him more to serve as that slot threat in the NFL.
I'm going to be totally honest with you here. There are about 3 guys that I want to take here at the 2-1. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Hendon Hooker. And look, I know a lot of people were upset that we had him in the first round of one of our previous rookie mock drafts. However, the rumors are still swirling that Hendon Hooker might get picked in the top 20 picks. And if that happens, I expect his Dynasty draft capital to go up into the first round. If you're talking about a top 20 selected quarterback, you're talking about a Kenny Pickett-esque quarterback. That's where Kenny Pickett went. Right in the 20 range of the Steelers. He was the 1-0, anywhere from the 1-2 to the 1-5 last year. And this is a much deeper class, so that's going to push Hendon Hooker down, especially a deeper quarterback class. However, when you're considering that a team could potentially invest in Hendon Hooker like that, it means that he's probably going to get some starting chances at some point. And being in a Superflex league where we're playing in a market, again, a QB market that has been more scarce now than it has been in recent years, I'm willing to take the shot over a tight end that I wanted there, over a wide receiver that I potentially wanted there, and I'll take a quarterback. I'll try to take my shot on that, hoping he develops into a solid starter, and then I will absolutely get great return on investment if I'm picking him at the 2-1. So I'll take Hendon Hooker there.
Yeah, next I'm going to go with Marvin Mims. He's a my guy in this draft for me, absolutely, and it might be unpopular to take him this early, but one of the faster wide receivers in this year's draft. He ran a 4.38. You couldn't be more excited to see that. He had very, very good production early in college. At 18 years old, he had 610 yards at Oklahoma. Last year, he had over 1,000. He had almost 1,100 yards. He's coming in. He's not someone who's gotten a lot of hype in the mainstream media, but you could see him getting pretty good draft capital going in the second or third round and having a very good landing spot. And obviously, this isn't landing spot dependent, but I really liked his film. He's a very, very good contested catcher, especially for a guy who's not that big. And like we talked about, he has that speed, and I could really see him being utilized well in the NFL.
Love that guy. Love that guy. If he goes to the Colts, I'll just be so happy.
You two need to quit it with your love affair with Marvin Mims.
I'm going to take Dalton Kincaid at the 203. I think it's definitely time to take our personal tight end one here. I don't know about Simon, but Avery and I prefer Kincaid over Michael Mayer. I think he's ready to go. And in terms of fantasy production, Michael Mayer might have other skill sets that may even be better than Kincaid. That's really up to your own personal opinion. In the run game especially, but. With Kincaid, I think he's more fantasy ready. I think he's going to come out strong and maybe even produce a little bit his rookie season.
Yeah, so I'll take Michael Mayer then. I personally, like he said, I like Dalton Kincaid more. And I haven't done a ton of film on tight ends just because, number one, I'm not a professional scout. But number two, you don't super need to watch film on tight ends because they normally don't develop until they're 24, 25. So normally you can watch them in the NFL and get a good feel for how they're going to turn out. However, Michael Mayer, statistically, we've seen some deep dives on Twitter. We've seen some deep dives from people who actually do know what the heck they're talking about. And Michael Mayer seems to be a very safe tight end prospect that's going to go in the first round of this year's 2023 NFL draft. So because of that, because of his size, because of his athleticism at the size, while there's some left to be desired compared to some of the other prospects this year. I still think he's got. I think a good comp for him from an athleticism standpoint is actually Mark Andrews, and I think skill wise he could absolutely develop into a Mark Andrews skill level player. And if he's in the right situation, if he's in the right offense, I think that's absolutely his ceiling. He's been heralded as one of the better tight end prospects for quite a while now. People have been looking for him to come out this year and looking forward to that. And so getting him at the 204, obviously, look, we preach it all the time with these tight ends in Dynasty. Again, they normally don't develop until they're, second, third, or fourth season. You've seen it this year with TJ Hawkinson finally breaking out with the Minnesota Vikings. That said, I think this is a very deep tight end class, maybe the deepest I've seen since I've been playing Dynasty, the deepest in years for sure. You've got a ton of talent at the top of the tight end class, and I'll take Michael Mayer there in the second round. I feel pretty good about it. So 205.
Yeah, we'll go with another running back here. We got Tyjae Spears.
Yeah.
Someone I've seen people sour on him recently, but I don't really care. He seems like he's got a really unique talent. He's got a lot of twitch to him. He's got a lot of burst, and I love the heart he plays with. And yes, the NFL is not about heart, but I do think he's going to come into the NFL, and he won't be a day one starter, but I think he has the skills. I think he'll take over a backfield eventually. You could see him going in. There's plenty of landing spots. We won't get into that, but I think he will carve out a role wherever he goes, and I think he will be someone that you want on your dynasty team. You'll be sad you didn't take one of those mid-second round flyers on him.
Yeah, absolutely, Nathan.
I'll happily.
There's an obvious.
I'll happily take Hyatt here.
Yeah,
Hyatt is, again, he's a guy that has probably had some of the highest projected draft capital that has the lowest projected dynasty draft capital in rookie drafts, and it's really not attractive to us to take him late first, and I get why, because of his potential skill set. He might be really, again, another one of those really effective field stretchers that isn't super impactful in fantasy. I definitely see that being a possibility for him, but you can't look over the fact that he won the Biletnikoff last year. Like, he was the best wide receiver in college football, so debatably, but I mean, he won that award, so I'll easily take him here at the 206. Not much to say about that. That's a smash in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate my life here and take Devon Achane. Again, we're getting into the back end of the second round now, and so once we're 207, 208, this is where it gets to dart throw territory. I mean, it really quickly drops off from these guys are solid to these guys are dart throws. And with Devon Achane, I feel like he's a little bit more solid for me than a dart throw because I feel like whatever team that Devon Achane goes to, because of the skill set that he has, because of the receiving upside that he does possess, because he is so quick, because he's actually better in between the tackles than people think, I think he's going to be a good playmaker for a team. I think he's going to have a role on an NFL team. I don't think that role is going to be prominent enough for him to be an elite fantasy asset. However, if I'm going
gadget guy,
if I'm a gadget guy, if I'm going to take a shot on somebody like that, I mean, I'm looking at gadget guys like Nyheim Hines, who actually carved together a very good season at one point for fantasy,
and he was going for seconds,
and he was going for second round picks. So with Devon Achane, I feel like he's a little bit safer for me. I feel like he's going to get better draft capital than some of these guys after him, and I think he offers the playmaking upside to potentially turn that into some fantasy points. I'll especially take I'll take him here because I think I could potentially flip him if he flashed a lot. And, when you're getting into late seconds and the early thirds, like that's kind of what you're thinking about is, okay, can I flip these guys if they flash? Because most of these guys aren't going to actually make it. So I'll take Devon Achane there, even though he's not my favorite, but I think he's the best dart throw available. So, all right. I know who you're taking.
Yeah, I'll go with Izzy Abanaconda. Yeah, he had a really good workouts. He came in with a 4.45 40, and in a running back class where there doesn't seem to be a lot of speed at the top. I think that's something, again, NFL teams are going to look for. You have to keep that in mind. Who is going to have an elite trait? Because that's going to get them on the field, especially when you're looking at these running backs going later. They have to be good at something. They have to be elite at something. Otherwise, they will stay on the bench. And with Izzy, he had 1,400 yards this year at Pittsburgh. Limited receiving game usage, but that's not what we're looking for here. We're just looking at the back end of the second round. What's going to get him on the field? And he has elite speed, and he's very good at rushing.
All right.
Well, on the elite topic, I'll take a guy who has shown flashes of an elite skill set and has fallen dramatically, since earlier this year. I'll take Keyshawn Butte at the 109. I understand that he was horrible at the combine. I understand that. We really don't know what was going on behind the scenes there. We don't know if there's any character issues. We don't know if he was unhealthy, had some injury issues possibly. And then, the new coaching staff last year in LSU with Brian Kelly, who runs a completely different system than the coach did before. So it's a really tough thing to navigate, and I will trust the NFL to do what's right. But if I'm going to throw a dart at the end of the second round, Butte is going to be one of my favorite guys to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go Cedric Tillman here. I think Tillman was a guy that was a little bit overshadowed from a media perspective because Jalen Hyatt was so impressive last year in college football. But Cedric Tillman, I mean, he possesses the frame of a Michael Thomas and some traits that are reminiscent of Michael Thomas. That said, obviously, he's going at the end of the second, so we are praying that he ends up even a fraction of as good as Michael Thomas did. That said, because of his size and the athleticism that he offers at that size, which is better than average, I'm willing to take a flyer on Cedric Tillman just because of that. I think he could absolutely carve out a role on an NFL team. Again, this has been a little bit more of one of my guys as well, but he really has been for all of us, somebody that we're higher on in these later rounds. So I'll take a shot on Cedric Tillman at the 210.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be happier to get Luke Musgrave here at the 211. Someone elite.
I love it when you snipe him.
Elite workout metrics. That's something we look for in our tight ends. I think he's going to, just like you expect with a tight end, he will probably take a while to get onto the field and to develop, but he's got a 4.61 40-yard dash, so that he can field stretch. And as a tight end, we saw like Greg Dulcich, for instance, doing that last year, really early on in his rookie year, and it's going to get him utilized. So Luke Musgrave, 211.
He could easily be the tight end one in this class. I mean, he has that. He has that skill set and capability.
Yeah. And at the 212, I'll close it out here with Gosh, I'm gonna go with Roshan Johnson. So
Wow.
at the end of the second round, you're talking about guys that are probably not going to have ideal draft capital. So at that point, you're really shooting your shot on guys that may give you a chance at production at some point in the season. And when you're really digging into your depth at the end of the season, you're going to want to lean on those running backs that don't really have a lot of draft capital, but have shown a little bit of production. And I think we saw this last season with Dameon Pierce, with Tyler Algier, with, even Brian Robinson towards the end of the season. And these are guys that, or Pacheco also, but if Roshan gets 4th round draft capital, like, I'm happy taking him here at the end of the 12th or even the start of the 3rd if he falls there, because what do you have to lose? He can carry a bell cow workload. He has the size. He played behind Bijan Robinson, so we really don't know who he is. And he has a receiving skill set that he's demonstrated in college. So you put all those things together, and that makes a real nice dart throw there at the end of the second round.
All right, that's 2 full rounds. You can take a look at that below of rookie mock draft. Again, this is our last one for the draft. So we expect things to change, and we're just kind of, again, we're not going off of draft capital or projected landing spot here. This is going to be as close to conservative as you're going to see us get, because we're going pretty close with what the market values of these guys are according to the Dynasty community. So while I'm sure all of us would prefer one person a lot higher than the other when we see the draft capital, when we see the landing spot, again, we were just going for a more generic final mock draft to wrap us up. This is just to give a good idea of what the drafts looked like before the NFL draft. This is going to be a good one to go back and compare before and after. Before, this is where things were going. These guys are going in about these ranges in most of our rookie mock drafts. And then after, everything is going to shift. There are going to be some guys that can jump. I think Hyatt is a guy that could jump here. I think Tyjae Spears is a guy that could jump up. I think any of the tight ends and Hendon Hooker. So it'll be interesting to see who gets flipped up and who gets sent down to the second round. So we only have to wait 2 more days now. I mean, I'm freaking pumped and very nervous for the Indianapolis Colts. But make sure you like the video and make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we are going to have coverage on draft night. We're going to be pumping out live reaction videos. We won't be live streaming them, but they're going to come out very quickly after the picks are made. We're going to try to upload them as soon as possible with our first blush reactions. Simon will be here as well. So now I've said you're going to be here, so you can't not come.
Yeah,
so
I'll be here. Don't worry.
So make sure you subscribe for that, and we're going to be live on Friday night for the second night of the NFL draft, and we are going to live reaction that one as well. We'll probably see a lot of these guys go on that second night as well, so that should be fun. As always, we appreciate you watching and listening. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later.